Hello, and welcome to Beltone Hearing Centers of Southern Colorado. At Beltone, we understand there's a lot of hype and confusion surrounding hearing aids and hearing health, so we believe the best way to cut through that confusion is through superior patient education, and the lecture you are about to see is a part of that commitment. Let me first take a moment to introduce myself. My name is Eric Koval, and I have a Bachelor of Science degree in nursing and carry board certification in hearing instrument science. I have 15 years experience working with patients just like you and currently serve as clinical director of Beltone Hearing Centers, Southern Colorado, where we have 3 office locations to serve our patients. We are located in Colorado Springs, Pueblo, and Canyon City. And a little note on Beltone as well. We were founded in 1940 and still operate the original manufacturing plant in Chicago, although it has seen many changes from those early days. With the research hub in Chicago, Beltone serves its patients through a large network of 1,600 office locations around the U.S., maintaining itself as the most trusted name in hearing health care among adults over the age of 50. As for technology, Beltone has achieved the prestigious honor of holding the only Consumer Electronics Innovation Award ever won by a hearing instrument manufacturing company. Whether you're on a budget or live a quiet life and just want some basic help, or you struggle with more complex issues, you can rest assured that Beltone has the technology that's right for you. Let's also take a moment and read what Helen Keller had to say about hearing loss. When you lose your eyesight, you lose contact with things. When you lose your hearing, you lose contact with people. So why do we care so much about hearing, and what can you expect to learn in this lecture? Our main concerns with hearing health focus on safety, physical and mental health, and communication. Safety is pretty self-explanatory. If you can't hear a car backing up in the grocery store parking lot, you're at a high risk for getting hit. Physical and mental health are concerns that are gaining new attention in the medical community and are covered in more detail in Lecture 3 of this series. Communication is the big one. We are social beings that require our ears to work properly in order to have relationships with others. Like Helen Keller said, when you lose your hearing, you lose contact with people. Let's take a look at the numbers. Who has hearing loss and who should be concerned? Roughly 10% of all Americans suffer from hearing loss. But if you look at those people aged 65 and older, that percentage jumps to 25%, making it the 3rd most prevalent chronic disease behind arthritis and hypertension. Now that we've got some of the basics out of the way, let's take a look at how the ear works and what we test during a hearing evaluation. It's very important to understand that hearing loss is a symptom or the end result of possibly many different things. In other words, 2 people may both have a hearing loss, but the reason they can't hear may be completely different. In part, this explains why we see such varied response to hearing aids in our patient population. That'll be explained in more detail later on in the lecture. It's also important to know that a hearing exam must be more than just responding to a few different tones played in your ears to be considered complete. Hearing exams must incorporate the use of tones played in your ears, tones vibrated against your skull, and a variety of speech tests played in different simulated types of settings. If you've ever had a hearing exam that only used tones or a series of beeps played in your ears, it's important to know that you only had a screening done, and you should not be fit with hearing aids. In fact, in the state of Colorado, it is against the law to fit hearing aids on a patient that has only undergone a screening. Now, what you see on the slide here is that your ear is broken down into three main components, each serving a specific function to deliver sound to your brain, which should be considered the fourth component of the hearing system. First, we have the outer ear, and it has this funny shape in order to capture sound waves and drive them down to the eardrum. The middle ear consists of the eardrum and the ossicular chain. This is what we call the conductive component of your hearing and serves to transfer energy of sound from the outside world onto the hearing nerve, which makes up what we call the inner ear. Our hearing nerve is an elaborate set of nerves housed within the cochlea. You can recognize the cochlea on your screen because of the distinct snail-like shape to the structure. A good way to picture the nerve endings is to think of them like a hairbrush coiled up inside this snail-like housing. So we have thousands of these nerve endings just waiting to receive a signal from the middle ear. What's special about these nerve endings is that they are all designed to work at different frequencies. Just like a piano has different keys to generate different notes, so too our ear has different nerve fibers to pick up different sounds. What you don't see on the screen is your brain. The brain is the last part of your hearing system. Within the brain lies the speech center, where all this information is processed and ultimately creates the sense of hearing. If any one of these four sections of your hearing system are broken down, you will experience hearing loss. But the treatment for your hearing loss varies depending on what part is not working properly. Treatment options can be surgery, hearing aids, hearing rehabilitation, or any combination of the three. All too often we see patients who have been improperly fit with hearing aids because they didn't know they were getting an incomplete hearing evaluation. At Beltone, we never cut corners on your hearing exam. Now that we understand how our ear works and the importance of a complete hearing evaluation, let's take a look at some of the causes of hearing loss. First is age. We're all getting older, and just like other body parts, our ears don't last forever. Second is disease. Exposure to viruses and bacteria can contribute to hearing loss. At Beltone, you can expect to be evaluated for possible disease-related cause and referred for medical attention if necessary. Noise trauma, as it relates to hearing loss, can be as obvious as being exposed to loud explosions or as subtle as a dentist who works with high-speed drills day in and day out. Then there is heredity. Some of us are born with hearing loss or develop hearing loss earlier on compared to our peers, and there's not much that we can do about that, unfortunately. For most people, hearing loss tends to come on slowly, giving the brain time to adapt to the world, getting more and more quiet as the years go on. In large part, this is why so many people wait so long to get hearing help. So if you're experiencing any of these symptoms coming up on your screen right now, it's definitely time to book a hearing evaluation. At Beltone, your hearing evaluation will take roughly 60 to 90 minutes. It is completely painless and is free of charge. So there is no reason to put it off any longer. As we mentioned earlier in the presentation, you must know what type of loss you suffer from in order to be treated properly. The most common type of loss is a sensorineural loss, or what is commonly referred to as nerve damage. This is the most common type of loss and is treated with hearing aids plus a combination of rehabilitation if necessary. We do still see some patients being told that nerve damage cannot be treated. Unfortunately, this is very old information that dates back from the 80s when treating sensorineural hearing loss was much more difficult. With today's technology, treating this type of loss is much easier to do. In some cases of sensorineural loss, the speech center in the brain has also forgotten how to hear. In these cases, rehabilitation will be necessary. Conductive loss is typically the result of a disease-related process and can be cured with surgical procedures. You will be referred to a surgeon if conductive loss is discovered. If you're not a candidate for surgery, or the surgery will not fix the loss completely, hearing aids can be used to help with this type of loss as well. As you can see on this slide, the benefits of correcting your hearing loss are great, but a recent study shows the best one of all. The study focused on age-related testing and demonstrated that patients with hearing loss on average tested 7 years older than their actual age, while patients that could hear tested 7 years younger than their actual age. So much for the old myth that hearing aids make you old. Turns out they could make you younger. Do you still have questions regarding your hearing loss? Check out one of the other slideshows available on this site. Have you heard enough and you're ready for a personal consult? Call us toll-free at 1-877-304-9099 to book a hearing evaluation today. All of the online lecture series are also presented monthly in our classroom in Colorado Springs, where topics can be discussed in even greater detail. Call today to reserve a spot for you and your family at our next seminar. See you there.